Hello there, it's Mark Maxwell here on our Legends series that we've got going. Very excited that I get to sit with this guy. This is Johnny Edwards. Johnny sang, the first band I ever saw him sing with was Buster Brown when I was a kid. And I know this for a fact that there was no singer that I wanted to be more like than you.
Okay.
And that's true. I would come and watch you, and I thought, I even find myself on stage standing like you sometimes. That's a very weird thing to say.
Okay.
I find myself being in Johnny Edwards mode, right? Anyway, John sang with Buster Brown, and then he sang with many different bands in between that, along with Foreigner. So I don't know if you know his story, but thanks for being here. It's good
Happy
to see you.
do it, Mark.
I'm-
Always a pleasure, sir.
You know, I will gush about you this entire time because I'm telling you, man, it's funny because I'll get together with my friends and such and talk about you. Like, we'll sit around and talk about Johnny Edwards
Okay.
like you're Santa Claus or something awesome, right, in our lives. So anyway, how are you?
I'm great. I'm lucky.
Me too.
Feel good. You
Good.
know?
Yeah, you look good.
Yeah, I feel really good. Got a new band. I'm happy about that.
Tell me about that.
Well, we've got Paul McGarry playing the guitar.
Gosh.
We've got Greg Unthank on drums.
Great.
The
Solid
bus driver, man.
He is the bus driver.
He is the bus driver. Tony Frank on bass. Those guys go way back to the childhood years. In fact, when we started this band, they reminded me that they opened for Buster Brown at one time.
Are you
in
serious?
Richmond, Kentucky at the Family Dog. They were in a band called Sweet Cheater.
I remember
opened for
Sweet
us.
Cheater,
They,
yes.
You know, they remembered it well too. So it's been a real lot of fun.
So
But,
you guys are doing original tunes.
Yeah, we do about half and half.
Okay.
We came out of the box doing almost all originals, and so we want to play more, and we want people to recognize some of the songs, and we're playing some longer gigs, playing 2 or 3 sets, different places.
Cool.
So right now we're mixing it up about 50-50 with our own music and some cool covers that we like that we do our own way.
Yeah. Well, you've always kind of done that thing, and I like that. Let me ask you, how do they find you before I leave Blue Funk? Where do they find that?
Okay, bluefunk.com, if you can spell it.
The problem is, there's the problem. I have no idea. That's why I said, what is the name of your band? Because the way it's spelled, it could be several different things.
Right. Well,
Let's do it. Here we go.
okay. There's a steakhouse, Del Frisco's. You ever heard of it?
Of course.
Okay, Louisville tradition. So I ate there not a few years ago, and on the menu they have this side dish, green funk, right? And they spell it Phonque. And I thought, well, that's pretty neat. And then we came up with this band. We're like, what kind of name? Our music is blues, it's funk, it's this and
Yes.
that. And I thought about that menu, and I said, okay, Blue Funk. So the blue is like blue cheese, BLEU.
Yes.
The funk is like Del Frisco's, PHONQUE.
So check them
There
out.
it is.
Go online. If you just put in Johnny Edwards, that's going to pull up anyway, I think.
Yeah,
I think
it
that's,
is.
It's going to
It
link
is.
to it some way because I think that's how I found it in the first place. That's
It's
where I
on
s-
the Wikipedia page too.
Yeah. And, oh, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you look up Johnny Edwards Wikipedia page, there's all kinds of information. Everything about his musical career is on there. I watched the video too, and that's as
Oh
badass.
yeah.
That-
Marvin Gaye song.
Yeah, and you guys you recorded this project where with Steve? Did Steve?
Steve Wilson.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's it. Their new studio that he and
Right.
Who else owns that?
Jay Comstock.
Yes, Jay
is
Comstock,
in there
yes.
with Steve.
Yeah.
So they built this really cool place.
Man,
over.
it looks amazing.
It is so neat in there, and Steve has got every piece of vintage
Oh,
equipment
gear.
known to man. I think half the vintage equipment in the world
Right.
is in his possession.
Absolutely. Yes, it is.
So he's got a whole room full of nothing but amplifier tubes. So a room bigger than this, there's nothing in there but tubes.
Tubes.
They go in amplifiers. So, yeah.
Brooks, have you been to that studio? You watch their video, you'll see because that's where you shot the video too. Yes.
Uh-huh. It's pretty neat.
Very special looking
Yeah.
in that studio. But I haven't been, so I'll need to go visit.
Yeah, you need to get over
Yeah, I
there.
will do it. So you're back here. It's interesting because once you kind of left California, because I think that's where you were living.
Yeah, moved out there for about 15 years.
Yeah, and then when you came back, you went silent.
Yeah, I retired in 1995.
Okay.
So, yeah, I had, a family and
And you had
obligations,
enough of-
and I was like, you know what? This is not the life if you want to be a successful parent.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, my wife and I worked together out there for about 5 years, and then it came time to move back here because my parents were still here, and I was the only child. My brother and sister live overseas, so
Oh, okay.
it was my opportunity to do the right thing. And so, yeah, that's been great. We came back here in '99, and I bought the house from my parents where I grew up in the
Oh, how
Highlands.
cool. Wow.
Yeah. Now I have a music studio in the basement, so it's
That's
working out.
awesome.
We're just very, very lucky people.
Well, I'm glad that you started singing again.
Mhm.
That's something that was missed, and I'm glad you're back doing that. You've been with your wife how long?
35 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think something about you that I noticed when I grew up and I was in clubs and I was a teen. I wasn't supposed to be there, but I was watching you, and I just noticed how you were as a human, and just how a lot's about you. Your marriage, your everything is what I looked up to. I thought you were kind of the full package of a guy who had his self together. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that. My
Yeah.
father's a Presbyterian minister.
Yeah, I found that out. I had no clue
Yeah.
about that. I grew up a Presbyterian. Thank you very much.
Okay, there we go.
More in the Johnny camp. More in the Johnny camp. So funny. My mom and dad go to the NAB Presbyterian Church.
Okay.
There's maybe 30 people there at the NAB
Right.
Presbyterian Church,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I grew up there, and
It's good stuff.
oh,
man.
it is
I mean,
good
it's
stuff.
A lot of smart people in that church.
There's no doubt about it. Well, okay, so is your mom and dad still around or not?
My father died, but my mom's still around.
Is she?
So she's 97 now.
Oh
and,
my gosh.
I get to take her to church still every
Oh
Sunday. So-
gosh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Man,
it's
that's
awesome.
fantastic.
Uh-huh.
You have some kids.
Yep, I got a daughter that's 28.
Wow.
And she's got a year and a half baby,
Okay.
and another baby that's about 3 months old now.
Wow.
So I'm a granddad.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. I have another daughter that lives in Las Vegas. She got her degree in theatrical production from University of Cincinnati, and now she's working out there as an automation technician.
Wow.
So she works at one of those high-tech programs like Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah, sure.
Where they do all the performer flying and all that kind of stuff. That's
Crazy.
what she knows how to do, is all the automation
Well,
goes with that.
You know, it's an interesting thing too. Your kids, I'm sure, are very smart because you would like. I remember you would like rebuild things all the time. You would be building guitars and putting new things on them, and people were like, "What's that switch on his guitar? What's that do?"
I'm a wire nut.
You are, and that's a very interesting thing about you. So I could see that she got into some kind of technical field like that because of that. Matter of fact, to this day, you have a company. Do you still have don't you have a company? Do you
I work at a company
Okay.
based out in Prospect.
Yes.
And we do all kinds of tech-related things.
Yeah, I knew
with
that you-
computer systems, camera systems.
Yeah, you have a
card
brain.
reader systems. So.
Yeah, I remember because you like built your PA system. Like you did things that nobody was doing back in the day. It was like everything was like Johnny built or something. It was very strange.
Yeah, I love all that. My dad was a craftsman, and I picked a lot of things up from him.
Is that true? Is that where
Oh
it came
yeah,
from?
yeah. He knew how to do all that. We had a little wood shop in our basement. I love building speakers and putting things together. With
Yeah.
Wires and
That's-
transformers.
Very, very cool. Okay, so first band, what was it called? Your first band?
Channel Cat. Yeah.
Channel Cat.
Right, right. We played down at the Double Calf which then became
Oh my
then became Timepiece. Then
Right.
it was Soundstage
Sounds-
and a
yes.
lot of other things. But I played there when I was 16 with some high school friends, and then Buster Brown came along.
Wow.
And then
How long
then-
was Buster Brown together?
I was in Buster Brown for 10 years, but it was probably going for, gosh, 6 or 8 before that.
Yeah.
You know, and they went through a lot of changes.
Changes, and then you came on, and then that became that solid band with
Yeah.
you and Alan, James,
Yeah.
and Kevin
Mm-hmm.
playing. That was the band that I was
Right.
locked into, and went and watched a lot. So good times. I don't live in the past very much. I'm not a past liver.
Right.
I am a guy.
What kind of liver are you?
I'm a I don't which side's your liver on. No, I don't. I'm a very in the present moment,
Right.
and I look ahead a lot. Like I'm always kind of, where am I going?
Yeah.
So
I'm with you there.
I don't look back on it very often, but I do with your band, because it was just a really great band that I would go and just go. I mean, it was like getting punched in the face.
Yeah. Yeah, we certainly had the volume
Yeah, it
to
did.
do that.
But it was great. It was a punch in the face to watch your band, and I just always stood there in amazement, just watching how great it was, and just how powerful it was.
Yeah, we were good. We didn't know enough about songwriting, and that's
Yeah.
one of the things that I wish Louisville had done a better job cultivating that songwriting ecosystem.
Yeah.
Because unless you have people to teach you, man, it's really hard to.
Right, man.
learn
Speaking of
things.
that, when you moved on, because your next thing out of Buster Brown was.
Well, we used to open for a lot of bands because we had so much PA and lights.
Yeah.
And so we got a job for 2 weeks touring with Ronnie Montrose, and
Right.
we would set up the PA and lights. We'd open the show, and then Ronnie would play, and I got to be friends with him, and he's my greatest hero of all time because after that, he hired me and James to come out and do a Montrose album.
That's right.
And so that's when I started to learn a little more about songwriting and production. And so after that, we went back and did Buster Brown for another year or so. And then I moved to California. I had an opportunity out there with a band called Northrop.
Yes.
And we did demo after demo. Jeff's a great songwriter in
Yeah.
that style. It was more of an 80s rock, kind of a style, which is what I was doing at the time. That's what Buster Brown was. And I learned a lot from him. And we sent demo tapes out like once a week.
Crazy, yes.
Yeah. Every record company in the world would get a demo tape from Northrop at least once a week.
Wow.
We were cranking out the songs and the tapes. And so we wrote some pretty good songs. One of those songs was that Ready for the Rain song.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And that was floating around at Atlantic Records. And then when Foreigner decided to start looking for a new lead singer, one of the guys at Atlantic had our tape.
Said, listen to this guy
Check
sing.
this guy
Yeah,
out,
check this
yeah.
guy out. Yeah.
And it was funny because Northrop broke up. I moved to LA, and James and I started a band called Wild Horses.
Right.
And it was going to be basically Buster Brown reunited.
Right.
I had Tony Bowles out there.
Right.
I had Kevin Downs on bass, and me and James. And we got a contract with Atlantic Records in about
See, I didn't know that.
5 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we were hooked up with Keith Olsen, who produced
Oh, yeah,
a Foreigner,
everybody,
great
yeah.
producer. And so they got assigned to Atlantic Records like in no time. And we were all set to record that when I got this offer from Foreigner. and
Yeah,
I
which-
had to back out. So.
Oh yeah, I would have. Yeah, give me a break. That's an amazing thing because 3 singers really were great for me. I was a Bad Company singer,
Oh, yeah.
fanatic.
Oh, yes.
I was a Foreigner. I saw them on the very first tour with Lou Gramm.
Yeah.
And I was a huge fan of Lou Gramm's, and I was a huge fan of really Greg Raleigh and Steve Perry together. That was my favorite Journey moment, where
Good
those two
stuff.
guys, because one had that rich thing going on, the other guy had that high thing going. So those singers, and then you get to step in the shoes of one of the greatest rock singers of all time.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's amazing. And I got to hear you on like a King Biscuit Flower Hour or something, like at midnight one night live or something. And I was like sitting there going, oh my gosh. It was so awesome, a moment in time for me. But so after Foreigner, when was that?
Okay, so Foreigner ended in '92.
Okay.
Because Lou decided he wanted to come back.
Yeah.
And so I went out and I put another band together with some really smart, talented guys. Jeff Clavin was the drummer from Crocus.
Right.
And also a very talented songwriter. Danny Stagg was a guitar player in Kingdom Come.
Yes.
Who was,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, great guitarist.
Yes, he was.
And we put tapes together, just the three of us, and we got us a contract with Island Records, and that was called Royal Jelly.
Yes.
And yeah, that's one of my favorite records that I've ever been on. I'm really proud of that one. And so we ran through the cycle with that.
Yeah,
put
yeah.
it out, did
Well,
the bar tour, drove around in the van with the trailer, and played all over Canada and the United States, and thing just didn't catch on,
Yeah.
man. So
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can do in
Right.
this business is just get up and swing the bat.
yeah,
That's all you
right.
can do.
Yeah.
There are no ever any guarantees in what we do. You've had,
There's one guarantee.
what's that?
If you play music that you're proud of, you can know that you're playing music that you're proud of.
Yeah, I totally get
So,
that.
Right.
Yeah, it's amazing. You've been able to do some just great things, and I'm so glad you came here to talk to us just about what you were doing, what you're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hope, check out Blue Funk, BLEU.
PHONQUE.
Yes, and check out his new band and go watch them live because I think we're doing well here in town as far as I think bands are doing more.
It's getting better.
It
yes,
is. There's more
very
gigs
much.
happening. I feel like that there's a big push in the fact that people maybe are going to start showing up and really supporting bands
I feel
again.
like since I've been back here, which is almost 20 years now, but I've really only been paying attention for the last 4.
Right.
It seemed like even 4 years ago there wasn't the groundswell that I see out there right
I do, and I feel it too.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here. You're a
It's always
nice
a
guy.
pleasure, sir.
All right, I'll talk to you soon. Johnny Edwards, everybody.